All right, so here we go. So yes, the devs just confirmed that Arc Raiders is going to be seeing some pretty important updates on launch day compared to what we experienced with the server slam. So what exactly is going to be changing for the better? So we're going to talk about that. And also, we're going to be talking about whether or not some of these changes are considered to be good or bad. Plus, the dev team also comments about the graphics downgrade. You've probably seen some of the community talking about how they feel like, hey, you know what? The game feels like it has been graphically downgraded since some of the tests, what's going on there. And we got to talk about a recent petition, or at least a call to a petition for one important feature. And we're going to talk about some other things going on around the community, including that there seems to be some secrets, some things that the dev team are not revealing until launch day. What could those be? Also, I'm doing a big Arc Raiders giveaway. So to enter that giveaway, see the top pinned comment. Good luck to everyone. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive in here. First, starting off with this right here, the blog post. A massive thank you, Server Slam, and what's next? So let's dive straight into this. So they say this: to all the brave Raiders who joined us for the Arc Raiders Server Slam this past weekend, from the entire team, thank you. Your participation was absolutely vital. We designed the Server Slam to stress test our systems and collect real-world feedback, and you delivered. We're working around the clock to implement fixes and tune the game for launch. So here's the key takeaways and what we can expect to see changed here. So, stability. You helped us quickly identify and resolve stability issues across all platforms during the test. We've locked in even more solutions leading up to launch day to ensure a smooth launch experience. Now, what about the flying arcs? It turns out their awareness was a bit too high, allowing them to essentially see through trees and bushes. This made their vision unintentionally overpowered, but we've adjusted what they can see now, so expect a fairer fight at launch. So how are you guys feeling about that one? Do you think that's a good change or not? It seems like mostly from what I'm seeing, people are pretty happy about that. Now, this is where it gets kind of interesting. We have the Dam Tower. It says, we watched many of you bravely and perhaps a little too easily access the Dam Control Tower on Dam Battlegrounds. It was fun to watch, but a bit too accessible for a key loot location. That's been fixed to keep the challenge sharp. They didn't exactly say what they did to fix it, but don't expect it to be like it was in the server slam. And this kind of stirred up a discussion out on the subreddit. Is this a good or bad change? And we got some comments here. If we scroll down, check it out. It says good. I think it got to a point people were just rushing the area. That was precisely how we played the final 2 days, both for the fights and gun spawns. So maybe this will spread things out and make things more interesting on the map space. We'll have to wait and see what happens. And you know what? The dev team was not shy about talking about the graphics downgrade controversy. So here we go. That is under visual differences here. So some notice a visual difference between Server Slam and earlier tests on certain hardware. The default settings did change a bit to favor more performance, and we are looking into tuning further to strike the right balance. So this is not the end of the story, and I imagine that there would be settings in there where you can actually, I would hope, bring out what we saw from previous tests. A lot of people really want that. In fact, we have this post right here on the subreddit. Dear Embark Studios, please don't forget players with powerful PCs. And he goes on to show tech test number 2 with all that volumetric lighting and, fog. And then we have the server slam. It seemed to be lessened a little bit, or some people thought a lot of it. Let me know how you guys felt about the graphics. Now, this is what this post said. Please, Embark Studios, what you've created is truly amazing. You're allowing so many players to experience your game, and that's something special. But as someone who invested in high-end hardware and wants to fully enjoy what Unreal Engine 5 can offer, please don't forget about us. Before launch, the game looked absolutely stunning, and it still does, but it feels like a lot of that potential is being left unused. It would be a shame to waste such incredible visuals and technology. Please let players with strong systems enjoy the game at its full potential. Lower-end players should, of course, still be able to play, but with lower settings. Don't punish those of us who built powerful PCs to experience the very best of what you've created. And we've seen this kind of like, I guess you would say, similar discussion with Battlefield 5. They've been able to pull off some miracles with Battlefield 5 for both like minimum system requirements all the way up to the top tier PCs, and keep, I think, a lot of the player base happy. And I think that's what kind of like Embark is looking to do. They're very much in tune with what's going on in the gaming space. And I think they're like, we got to figure this out. But, mentioning the graphic settings, there was a big controversy that stirred up from being able to put your graphic settings on like low, super low. So check it out right here. Don't remove bushes for low settings, especially in a game where stealth is so important. This right here absolutely needs to be talked about more. When you have actual graphic settings being toggled on, off, whatever, and it affects the actual gameplay, stealth in particular, that right there is a very big deal. I myself, I love playing Arc Raiders more stealthy, and I think a lot of us do. It ups the tension, of course, and to be able to kind of like abuse the graphics settings, even if you have like a top tier PC and go all the way down to low settings so you can just like have no bushes and take advantage of the situation. Yeah, that needs to change big time. And I hope that the dev team actually makes some comments about that. In fact, we have a petition or, a post here calling for a petition. It says, I loved the past playtest, but the existence of a low graphics setting that removes concealment on one player screen, but not another is cancer to any game that requires stealth. The devs still have time to fix this. I understand needing to optimize the game for low NPCs, but there has to be a better way. Even allowing console players access to the same settings would be better, but I also don't want to have to play on potato settings to have a fair chance. That would be insane. I haven't been this excited for a new game in years. I would hate for that experience to be ruined by certain platforms having objective advantages over another. Who agrees? P.S. Yes, I know we can turn crossplay off, but that should be a last resort. Yeah, I agree. This has to be adjusted and looked into. You shouldn't be able to remove actual like geometry, bushes, that sort of thing, just by toggling a graphic setting. But it also seems like the dev team is holding out and keeping some things a secret, as highlighted by this post right here, not to create even more buzz for the official release, but the developers have said they're keeping some surprises for the official launch on the 30th. I know that they've already told us about the main features coming into the game, trials, expedition, leaderboards, 2 new maps, etc., but I am 100% sure there is still a lot that hasn't surfaced or been mentioned by the developers, such as new items, craftables, weapons, new archetypes on the 2 new maps, new events on the new maps. The list goes on. If you're reading this, I want you to know I can't stop thinking about this game. 8 more days, Raiders. Can't wait to see you topside. Stay strong. So there are so many theories about what this could be, what exactly they're holding out on. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to even theorize it. Like he said, I don't want to overhype it, but it is something important to know that this game is so much more than what we experienced in the server slam. And I feel like some people are kind of confused. You see a lot of people like, that's it? That's all Arc Raiders is? No, not at all. We have not seen what this game is. In fact, someone did make this comment. Yeah, I read somewhere they see Arc Raiders as a 10-year plus project. Now, we have heard that time and time again for many games that have ultimately failed, but I'm not getting that feeling from Arc Raiders right now at the very least. I'm getting more of a Helldivers 2 feeling in terms of at least long-term success, because Helldivers 2 had some bumpy roads, but overall that game has been very, very successful, and I think Arc Raiders could venture down that path. Now also we have this post right here, Embark. Don't cave in. Arc Raiders is perfect the way it is. I just want to say this directly to the developers. Please don't cave into all the noise from people saying the game is too hard or needs PvE mode. What you've built here is one of the coolest and most unique extraction shooters we've ever seen, especially for console players. The tension, the unpredictability, third-person Arc robots being challenging, that's what makes Arc Raiders stand out. Not every game needs to hold your hand. The difficulty is what gives it its identity. It's what makes every encounter matter, every extraction feel earned. People will always complain early on, but the ones who stick around, the ones who get it, they will make this game thrive long term. Please stay true to your vision and don't let Arc Raiders become another watered down game because of people who don't enjoy it. And I gotta say, I've heard people saying nerf the actual enemy AI. I totally disagree with that. I think they should keep it as is from the server slam. They actually kind of like made them more difficult compared to other tests. And that's the one thing that I loved about this experience. So if you didn't want to go in as like a solo player, you kind of have this interesting PvE, PvP type experience. And it just felt great. And you kind of stealth it. There are so many moments where You can also run to other players and tell them like, hey, don't shoot. And it actually worked out in several cases for me. It's just such an amazing experience when you really get into it. Now, finally, this post says this: you've nailed something special. Don't change it. Just keep polishing, fine-tuning, and expanding on what's already amazing. And for the people who are not having fun, I'm sorry to say this game just isn't truly for you. Yeah, not every game is for everyone. And it's tough in a sea of games that are releasing. A lot of times you have games that feel so similar to one another, and it's tough to stand out. Arc Raiders is standing out right now. So they should definitely keep to their guns and keep going with what they're doing. Now, we also have this opinion right here. High tier loot should not be in the same building every raid. This has some interesting replies to it. So this goes on to say this: we need dynamic high loot areas. Over all 122 hours I played, I found that a lot of the time matches would end up having fights in the same buildings, in the same rooms, entrances, because everyone was going to the same red loot areas. If they changed it up randomly each time you entered a map and had different buildings be the high tier loot area for that run, well, that would be a lot more differences in each raid. It's a seemingly simple change from a non-dev perspective that adds a whole lot of dynamism that stops each match from becoming a little repetitive. And yeah, I said previously this had some very interesting replies here. In particular, this one really caught my attention. So here we go. It says, so in Tech Test 2 with full progression, the game becomes very much about crafting. When you load into a map, you are there to loot, not for monetary value, but for resources to craft with. All resources can be broken down into more simple, lower rarity parts or crafted into higher rarity parts as long as you have the BP for it. As you play the game, you upgrade your workbench and find BP for weapons that are good, and you start to understand what everything is for and is worth. And then literally every item you come across will have value to you. You get moments where you find an item and go, do I drop some blue mechanical loot that I have a bunch of for green tech loot that I can refine into blue tech that I need for the gun I want? And then whenever you are picking a map, you are looking at the map screen, what spawns in each map and where and what kinds of areas it spawns in the maps, and deciding where you want to go beforehand to get whatever materials you need for the items you want. You'll just have to trust me that it works and will work and make sense on full release. The spawns are static because it allows you to farm the things you want reliably, and in the base game, people will go to all areas because they will need all types of resources. This is definitely a very valid point and an interesting take. And you also have to remember that we are going to have more maps than just the map that we were on in the tech test and the server slam, which is definitely going to change a lot of things for this game. So yeah, there it is, the latest happenings around Arc Raiders. Day one should be very interesting. I cannot wait to see what these potential secrets are that the devs are kind of like holding back about this game. We'll have to wait and see. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned here for more Arc Raiders news and updates. I have you guys covered, and I will see you all next time. Take care.